Alright, I thought this might be interesting to look at, but now I realise it is going to be a disaster because I am going to be cutting away to Summit to explain things every 30 seconds. For example, this cover connects with the covers to issues of Spider-Man 2019 and Excellent Men 2019. This is Doom 2019 37, which is the latest issue I have of the series, and that is why I chose it. But there is so much continuity required to understand anything about this. It will not be a good video. The first page, I already have to explain a small character called the Driver. But I also have to explain what is going on with Mr. Doom and who these two people he is hanging around with are. So let's begin with Mr. Doom. Mr. Doom arrived in the future year of 2019, and it is a traditional cyberpunk style future. The world is controlled by mega corporations. That is the key thing to say. Mr. Doom, the Marvel supervillain, found himself in this time and deemed this world in need of saving. And he eventually conquered America and set about dismantling this way of living. It's a fantastic idea. Mr. Doom is still the evil Marvel villain, but he is legitimately preferential to the megacorps. He honestly wants to improve this world. Eventually, there is this very QAnon conspiracy sort of guy, John Ellis. He is an evil rich man living in a bunker who actually runs the world in secret. Or he ran the world before Mr. Doom took over. To cut this short, I don't need to discuss any of his machinations here, but the result is Mr. Doom's greatest defeat. Mr. Doom was at the top of the world, and then he was booted down to the bottom. Now, Mr. Doom is hiding away. The world believes him dead. And S.H.I.E.L.D. now has come out of his Chicago hideaway and taken his place as undisputed ruler. Mr. Doom only just survived the ordeal. He is in damaged armour, he is injured, but he owes a small part of his survival to this blonde girl here. She is a young muty girl called Annie Wagner. She helped hide him, and it is a fairly classic idea there. This was the cover to the previous issue. I think it would work better on this issue. Annie, Static Annie she is called. Her muty power is she can communicate with and control machines. Oh god, there is so much to explain. She took Mr. Doom to a hideout. This is a church that is a bunker. Yet another bunker in this story. This is the bunker of a young insurgent called Renfield. The name is a bit too on the nose, but he is the guy with purple hair. He is a very minor character. He is only in this issue and the issue before, but what little character arc he has is really neat. It turns out he met Annie previously and tried to pull her. He was trying to bang her. And so he bigged up how well connected he was and how much tech he had stockpiled, and his role and his accomplishments as a political dissident. He's basically a nobody. He is a loser who lied about being better to try and fuck what I have always taken to be an underage girl. This is written by Warren Fallis, by the way. Perfect time to say that. The key thing to know about Renfield is that he initially was very unwelcoming to Mr. Doom. He threatened him and belittled him, and it wasn't until Mr. Doom one-upped him that Renfield realised that the better course of action was to follow him. So right now, Mr. Doom, we are only on page 3 of this issue. Mr. Doom is planning an escape. He has a mode of transport selected, and he needs Annie's muty powers to utilise it. The art is very messy, very sketchy. It is by Ash Williams. And in keeping with my Forgiveness Tour 2024, I hated Ash Williams because he did some Uncanny Excellent Men, and I have never seen an artist more miscast or more inappropriate for a story or a title. And I thought he was your typical Vertigo cover artist. One of those guys that just send in what I call the Cure album covers. You know the sort. He did the covers to the bassist from Grey Matters Comics. We only just saw one yesterday, but here's another. I think his art in this issue, not perfect. Definitely not something I am praising. I think his art here, though, displays a bit more adaptability than I previously would have assumed of him. The art is a problem, though, not just in this issue, not just Ash Williams, in this part of the title overall. The minute Broderick Kingsley left, we are struggling around to find a regular artist, and nothing is really any good. I really wish Broderick Kingsley had at least stayed until 39, which is where I say the title officially ends. One of my few notes I have made for discussing this issue is helpfully telling me, don't waste time talking about how bad the last 5 issues are. Okay, right, so here's the thing. I am taking forever explaining stuff on these first pages, but once I have explained everything, I am going to get through most of this comic very quickly. Mr. Doom, when he was in charge of the world, he created a haven for muties. He built a new city called Halo City. I almost was about to say it was called Haven. That stuff is seen a bit more in Excellent Men 2019, but don't get your hopes up. Excellent Men 2019 never did much with any of its ideas. Very underwhelming title, Excellent Men 2019. When Mr. Doom had Halo City built, he made it with the vision that one day he may have to retreat, one day he may have to fall back, one day he may need sanctuary. So Alo City is his intended refuge. It's the only thing he has that S.H.I.E.L.D. couldn't touch. There were too many muties and too many political obstacles for S.H.I.E.L.D. to destroy Alo City. Plus, the person Doom put in charge of Alo City sold them out to ensure both their self-preservation and their position as a tin pot despot of Alo City. Honestly, there's so much great stuff going on in Doom 2019. To get to what I actually need to discuss, Doom's mode of transportation is going to be an Excellent Men 2019 character called the Driver. The Driver was a mutie who was cybernetically linked to his car. I actually can't quite remember what, but I think when he is driving his car, he is undetectable, he is really fast, he is like, I don't know. I actually went online to remember his powers and can find fuck all that helps. He never received a handy book profile either. Static Annie is taking control of him through his car, and she is bringing him and it to them. They are using the Driver to get to Alo City. I am finally on another page of this issue, folks. Watch this as well. Now I am on another 2 pages. The greatest thing about this issue is the writing of Mr. Doom. Throughout. Honestly, you are never going to read a better written Mr. Doom than in the first 39 issues of Doom 2019. Loads of really, really great Mr. Doom scenes. One such bit, and there's loads of good bits. When the Driver gets there, Renfield is ready to leave with them, and Mr. Doom, he tells Renfield that he will not be joining them. Mr. Doom still holds a grudge for the way Renfield treated him when he arrived. So Mr. Doom kills him and chastises him for having been rude. So they board the Driver's car and find decomposing bodies hanging in the back. So now I need to explain the Driver some more. His supposed goal was to drive muties to safety. He was meant to drive muties to Nirvana. But it turned out he hadn't been doing that for a long time, and he was actually driving them to their deaths. He was not sure about using this as a simile. He was almost like the trains that took the prisoners to the concentration camps. He took muties to certain death, but he didn't know that was what he was doing. He believed he was saving them. He was actually one of the Excellent Men 2019 characters I was most interested in, but we don't see him again in that title after he came to realise that what he had been doing for years and years wasn't what he thought he was doing. And now we learn his bleak fate. After learning the truth, the Driver mentally broke. Now he continues to drive. He still thinks he is carrying out his mission. He has to try and save muties and drive them to freedom. But now, he's not driving them anywhere, and so they die in his car. and he has rotten corpses of muties he thinks he has saved, or he is in the process of saving. The dead bodies and the stink, they unnerve Annie, but she notices that it doesn't affect Mr. Doom at all. So she starts to think that Mr. Doom is a heartless monster. And this leads to one of my favourite lines in the issue. But right now is a big explosion. Mr. Doom left an explosion behind at the church to distract S.H.I.E.L.D's foot soldiers who are hunting them. So the pair have successfully evaded their pursuers, and they are on the path to the safest place they can be. And it is here where Annie mentions all the shitty things Mr. Doom has done. Blowing people up, shooting Renfield. She calls Mr. Doom a monster. And Mr. Doom, he responds with possibly, but a hopeful monster nonetheless. We also have some terrifying horror art with Annie and the driver being depicted as Gestalt, symbolic of her powers control and aim through his car, but freaky as hell images like this. They then get to S.H.I.E.L.D. City. This is S.H.I.E.L.D. City across 2 pages. They get there, and this does have, there are tie-ins and repeated scenes and overlaps in certain issues of Excellent Men 2019, and it's a shame you have to read that title to really understand who or what the driver is, or what exactly S.H.I.E.L.D. City is outside of a place Mr. Doom is heading. Another thing is, while a lot is going into this issue, not much actually happens in it. And Mr. Doom, he starts looking like Deathly Ed 2 on this page. Another of my favourite scenes of this issue, of which there have already been 2 scenes I would describe as favourites. We have this farewell between Mr. Doom and Annie, and I think this is really good. Mr. Doom expresses some genuine gratitude for Annie's part in his survival, and throughout it all, he has been bringing her to a paradise. This is his thanks to her. He has provided her with residence in a prospective heaven. We don't see Annie ever again. This is a nice ending for a small character. I fucking love this. I really do think this is a great series, but I cannot recommend this issue without recommending the first 36 issues. And also listening carefully and intently when I described the driver. That'll save you from having to read those Excellent Men comics. I give this 7 thumbs up, but I don't think any of you will think it is even half as good as I do.